Hello, happy new moon. It is Fiona Morris here, the natural healing guide at Nourish and Flourish. And I am here today to give you a little astrological new moon reading for the cycle ahead. So the new moon was exact, conjuncting the sun in Libra, joining the sun in Libra today at 11:05 Universal Time, Wednesday, 6th of October. And I have given the caption for this lunar cycle ahead as creating beautiful relationships, expressing yourself with love, a highlight on harmony, and taking graceful action. So I shall show you the chart and you will see why I have given you those phrases as some signposts on how to work with the energy that we have currently. So as you can see in this column here, this lists where all the planets are, the different signs that they're in, and the degree that they fall. So when the new moon and sun were exactly conjunct, they were at 13 degrees. And you will also notice that Mars was also at 13 degrees of Libra. So this new moon was exactly conjunct with Mars. Which is bringing an interesting energy because Venus is ruled by the planet, Libra is ruled by the planet Venus. Venus currently being in the water sign of Scorpio, which interestingly enough is in traditional astrology is ruled by Mars. But I digress. So we have a Mars, which is also traditionally the ruler of Aries, which is directly opposite. So yes, you may, whether or not you are familiar with astrology, will probably already have this intuitive understanding of Mars and Venus being kind of opposing forces, shall we say, or opposites. So with Venus being the more feminine, the more pleasing, loving, harmonizing kind of energy, and Mars being more separating, more fighty, more shouty, more loud and combative and defensive, the warrior as opposed to the peacemaker. And so we have the warrior planet in Libra at the moment, so bringing that kind of energetic energy into the more gentle kind of more air. So Libra is an air sign, and they are a bit more rational and reasonable to the fiery, in contrast to the fiery energy that Mars brings, and Libra is a little bit more considered and a bit more diplomatic. And so, yeah, we've got a little bit of contradicting energies here, but equally bringing passion and bringing drive and energy to this area. And we've got the sun, of course, here too, whereas usually the moon will bring a little bit of yin to the yang of the sun. Here it's also in a wide conjunction with Mercury. Mercury is at 20 degrees, and Mercury is currently in retrograde, which you may have heard already. So this will be in retrograde for the next couple or so weeks. And so that'll be, so another kind of, what's the word? Some erratic energy, unpredictable energy to bring into the mix. So although we may have this kind of solar and Martian energy that wanting us to kind of push forward and drive, we've also got Mercury being a little bit of a tricky trickster in the mix. So yeah, I think at the time, during a time, so Mercury is going to be retrograde for a good part of this upcoming lunar cycle, which will keep us on our toes. And Mercury itself, as you can see here, is in a square to Pluto, which can bring quite a dramatic energy, quite cathartic energy. So I actually really enjoy working with Mercury retrograde. My own chart is Mercury ruled. So I actually have I suppose, trained myself to work with Mercury in productive ways, and embrace the kind of unpredictable nature of this period of time. But yes, it can bring some uncertainty and bring a little bit of wobbly, changes of tech, and particularly with Pluto in the mix. We do need to be quite mindful as possible over this time. A really good use of this time would be decluttering, letting go of things that do not serve, clearing the decks of any stuff, or whether it's emotional, mental, spiritual, physical baggage that no longer serves. That would be a really good way of using this time consciously rather than unconsciously, when things can be dramatically removed forcefully from you. And this could also apply to thoughts and belief systems as well, and ways of organizing your life. Now, where Libra falls in your chart will depend on where you were born and the time you were born. So this is going to affect each one of us very differently, although the collective energy is the same. The way in which our personal filters will be interpreting this energy in our own lives will of course vary. So for those of you who are familiar with astrology, you want to look to 13 degrees of Libra in your personal chart, and it will be in one of 12 different houses, and that will be the area that will be activated for you. And yes, so that was a brief look at Mercury in square to Pluto. One of this might sound a little bit challenging, shall we say. May not be an easy process necessarily, letting go of things that may have been deeply held and cherished in many ways. However, there's also this sextile to Neptune in Pisces. And so, where we've got this kind of cathartic release energy of Pluto, we've also got this sort of dissolving and dissipating energy of Neptune in Pisces, this watery energy, which can emerge in the form of emotions. It could be, literally tears. It could be a release through the water element of some ways, whereas here that Pluto is in Capricorn, which is an earth sign. So the soothing quality of water can bring a bit of gentleness to this process. It could be connection with spirit, for example, sort of gently supporting us through this process of letting go, reorganizing, deconstructing things that may have been very dear to our heart. So I just want to finish off by talking about this angle here, which is a trine to Saturn. So these two planets, Jupiter and Saturn, are also in an air sign, as well as all these 4 planets. So there's a lot of air elements circulating at the moment. So air element can it's very much located in the mental, intellectual realm. So things can get a bit heady. There may be a bit of overthinking and over rationalizing at the moment. So I think the beauty of having our Neptune and Venus in water signs at the moment helps us to reconnect with the heart when things are getting a little bit too head-based. Which we can be in danger of getting a little bit stuck in our head and possibly a little bit argumentative, a bit defensive, a little bit, clinging on to our way of thinking. But yeah, this is a beautiful reminder to come back to the heart and to gently allow things to soften and release. So yes, there's this angle here, which also has the quality, trines have the quality of Venus. And as I said, Venus is the ruler of Libra, of which we have the majority, or the sort of largest number of planets located at the moment. So there's a very Venusian quality to this time. And with this Venusian angle to Saturn, Saturn is giving a little bit of gravitas to the sign, the planets in Libra at the moment. So the Venus energy in itself can be quite light and bubbly and playful and fun, and not necessarily taking life all that seriously, but more kind of into parties and things that are a little bit lighter in nature, more fun. And so when Venus and Saturn are in harmony with each other, when they're compromising, they're working together rather than against each other, we have this beautiful blending of the benefits of Saturn, which can be things enduring for the long term, or being able to create and manifest something beautiful for the long term. So it could be this beautiful vision for the future, which can really, if we really put our dedication and commitment into, which Saturn lends itself to, our intentions at this time can really be powered to actually manifest in real time, and it'll have the staying power to follow through. So I think I will leave it at that. There's plenty more I could say. Actually, I'll very briefly also just mention that you can't see the line drawn on here because Chiron is not one of the more newer planetoids. But a lot of astrologers do like to work with it, including myself. So Chiron is referred to as the wounded healer, and it is, where are we here? Chiron is at 10 degrees of Aries. And so that brings it into a direct opposition to the 13 degrees planets in Libra. And so as the wounded healer, it brings awareness to where we can heal ourselves and where we can heal others. And this can feel quite painful at times, but I think it's really healthy. And with this being in the sign which is ruled by Mars being in opposition in Libra, there's a really interesting kind of rebalancing, reharmonizing kind of quality of, the areas where we maybe have been kind of quite stubbornly defending our beliefs or our, just things that we may feel attached to, things that we've been feeling very protective over, that we can feel a bit touchy, sensitive, triggered about. Chiron does bring up a lot of those energies, and in this very fighty sign of Aries. I love Aries. It's a fire sign, and it's a sign that, It's very pioneering, it's a go-getter, it's full of energy, but the shadow side is that yeah, it can be a bit immature at times, can be a bit domineering. And so with Chiron in this sign in opposition to all of these planets, it's maybe, yeah, what comes up for me is healing, an opportunity to heal imbalances in power, and that could be within your own psyche, it could be within relationships, within your family, within your partnerships, within your workplace, your community. You know, where have things become out of alignment? Where do things need to heal? Where do things need to be brought back into harmony? And where can we take action? So, you know, Aries being action and energy and drive in loving ways, rather than this kind of sometimes quite childish aspect of Aries, which is quite defensive and you know, clinging onto things that, you know, it's like it's mine, and can be a little bit selfish. Libra energy and the Venusian energy over on this side, and with Mars being over on here, there's kind of this drive for things to be fair and just and equalizing. So, you know, equal for more than just the individual, but for communities, in fact. And if you see this lovely trine that we have to Aquarius, Aquarius is definitely a humanitarian sign that cares for the group. And so there's this real drive for creating long-term structures that can bring beauty into relationships for the long term. And with Jupiter and Saturn here, which are quite they're kind of signs of leadership and authority in many ways, you know, for better or for worse. There is this kind of feeling of wanting to redress the balance of areas that haven't been fair up until now, and that, yeah, there's a lot of interesting ways that this can play out for us as individuals and for the collective. So I shall stop there, and I wish you all a happy lunar cycle, working with these energies in as harmonious a way as you can. It's a real opportunity to heal, to express yourself with love, to allow all those areas that have felt a little bit niggly to shine a light on them, a healing light on them, to create harmony in your relationships, and giving you the energy to take action with grace and with gratitude and appreciation, which is the beautiful, sweet nature of Libra. So I shall stop there, and thank you so much for tuning in. Lots of love.